If I came up to you on the bus and I was like, do you like big robots? And before you could even scream, get away from me, I'd be like, because there's a flying invisible rabbit that lives on the moon! What? He was tasked by ancient humans to monitor the planet and make sure evildoers couldn't take advantage of the Anglemoy energy within. It's true! Oh, she's run away again. We, of course, know that I am, of course, referring to Moon, of course. The cheeky robo-furry from the Japanese Beast Wars. But there are a lot of Transformers facts that, when put to the layman, sound absolutely ridiculous, and that is what this video is about. Stop, Scott! Okay, hands to the heavens, this isn't a complete brand spanking totally original idea. It was prompted by a thread I saw on Twitter, started by a user called Little Miss TFC. So all credit to them, make sure you go check them out. So this vid's gonna be a few bits and bobs from that thread, a few bits and bobs from Reddit, quite a few of my own. But I just wanna say I'm not gonna shout out every single contributor because it just destroys the flow of the vid, but huge shout out to anyone that I have used as reference. All right, let's start with the fact that Rat Trap most definitely had Whoopi with a plant. Which is ridiculous, right? I mean,
to be attracted to a plant, I mean, appropriately ridiculous.
Yeah, Botanica was this hot, sentient, walking, talking plant.
She's hot.
And these two had a real love-hate thing. They end up kissing once by accident. And then the last step, they kind of professed their feelings for one another. And considering they were bioorganic, there's probably some booty smushing going on at some point. There was this bot in Beast Wars 2 called Thrustor. Yeah, he was originally called Thrust, but he was reinvented as a cyborg beast called Thrustor. Now, this guy had bizarre weapons coming out of everywhere. He has a blade on the top of his head that can freeze people. He had an ankle blade for those high kicks. And what looks like a crotch blade. And just that combined with his name. Oh man, all sorts of weird imagery. While we're on wild names, there was this guy called Erector. Because, you know, he'd erect things. You know, towers and poles and even worse than that, there was a female Micromaster member of the Turbo team called Discharge. Now call me juvenile if you want, but no one is thinking army discharge here, are they? We all think in bodily fluids, am I right? The movieverse had a whole bunch of these. Like if I told you that a mainstream movie would feature a guy trying to justify the legalities of dating an underage girl, you'd be like, off. Would you believe me if I told you that Marky Mark knocked all of the funny out of this guy's brain and literally killed another dude with American football? I'm guessing not. But what if a friend of yours came up to you and said, oh, I was just driving along, minding my own business when an alien war broke out and a spaceship crashed on my car? You'd already be like, huh? But he'd be like, I wasn't finished! Because then Marky Mark came out, dragged me out of my car, held me up by my collar, broke a bottle of Bud Light open on the car window, and then drank it aggressively.
I don't know, I think I might be losing my mind.
You'd be like, no, all the while dialing the nearest psych ward. They have a magical pixie living in their sparks that cleans up their bodywork whilst in vehicle mode. And then another one that comes and damages it for when they turn back into robot mode. Apparently. What if I told you that the Transformers were held together by magnets? And not even very strong ones. No, really? Because the last night showed that despite having seen Bumblebee survive considerable punishment over the past movies, he literally fell to pieces when shot by a minigun AP shooter by Transformer standards. His eye pops out before his body parts magically magnetize back together.
Magnets! Oh!
The fact that all this always seems to always revolve around Earth, like the Allspark just happened to land here, the Guardian Knights hid Quintessa's staff here before giving it to an alcoholic charlatan, that is. The fact that this car could support the weight of drift, the fact that the Dinobots have baby Dinobots, the fact that Vivian said this, yes.
Dress makes you feel uncomfortable, then maybe I could take it off.
A line a writer wrote, a director approved, and the actor didn't question the fact that literally nobody would say this in this situation. Oh, you think my dress is cheap and slutty? I'll show you by making your dreams come true and letting you see my bear upstairs and downstairs. What the fuck? It ties my mind in a knot. The last night had all these photos. Ironhide fighting in World War I. Bumblebee was shown in a flashback fighting in World War II. I think there was even a painting of Ironhide at the Battle of Trafalgar. So they were here in 1805, 1915, roughly, and somewhere prior to 1945. But seeing that we saw their arrival in TF 2007, I mean specifically Ironhide because we didn't actually see Bumblebee's arrival, but regardless, they were either traveling backwards and forwards like a commuting workaholic salaryman, or someone just took some shortcuts with the writing. I'm guessing the latter. Oh, another crazy fact is that a watch killed Hitler. Cybernetic organisms made of steel wear neck braces, apparently. Oh, but yes.
Daddy, whatever happened to Octane and Tigertron?
Well, son, they went on to contribute to the vast ocean of the erotic visual medium called pornography.
I'd like to report my parents to child services, please.
Here's one that I'd never, ever come across before. According to Wave Thaniel, there was a scene in the 86 movie that showed a Quintesson jail littered with body parts. Now that did ring a vague bell with me, but to be honest, it's a kind of a blink and you miss it type thing. But when you look at them real close, you see that they're a bunch of jumbled up parts taken from Gundam. Yeah, the Rick Diaz, the Garibaldi Beta, and even the Gundam MK2 models. How do you reckon that happens? Do you reckon that's an homage? Or do you reckon the artist was just like, oh, you know what, these easier to draw? Or do you reckon the Quintessons reach through the multiverse and multiversal shenanigans? As I spoke about in one of my last vids, there was the time that Grimlock forced a bunch of kids to walk the plank and into the cold vacuum of space just because they were friends of his rival Blaster. Unfucking believable, because Grimmy was the leader of the Autobots at the time, but was kind of on a bit of a villain arc. Another Mondo Bizarro fact that sounds like it comes from the darkest depths of the internet's misinformation butthole is that Black Arachnia was inspired by a stripper. But lo and behold, Mainframe, the company at the helm of Beast Wars, wanted her to be as sexy as possible, so took a few of the designers to a strip club to get their creative juices flowing. Then grabbed the poor guy, sat him at his workstation, and directed his raging boner energy into creating the sultry spider assassin we all know and love. Alright, what if I told you that one bot wielded a weapon so fearsome that it wouldn't hack, slash, maim, disembowel, or crush?
No, this legendary blade would turn you into butter.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard of White Cow. Only seen in the Beastformers comic, he was a deeply loving and caring bot who could do a full reconnaissance of an area by listening to the animals and the fucking flowers, tracking down assets and machineries with just one sniff of his slimy bovine snoot. Megatron loves 7 heads. I don't know why I said it like that, but I'm not changing it. And he once put a woman in a blender.
Wait, what?
Again, inappropriate tone perhaps, but again, I'm not changing it. So this was technically a protoplasm stripper that would, in Megatron's word, hack away the excess tissues, leaving only the brain and the spinal cord. Also the time that Megatron was seen in a pink negligee. Okay, what about if I told you I saw a bot turn into a cloud of TV static this one time and then float off as a disembodied head with all these tentacles flopping out of the bottom? Well, that's exactly what happened when the duplicitous Sideways got found out. Megatron gave him a good chopping with the Star Saber. Yeah, like I said, the explanation for this is that Sideways could enter transphase mode, basically nanites. And that would give him various abilities, including being able to absorb the fire of at least 3 bots right here, which is probably some ability bestowed upon him by Unicron. Doesn't really explain the tentacles though, but you know, who doesn't love tentacles? Then there was the guy who murdered and usurped his leadership, went on to wipe the minds of a whole entire planet, and then maim each and every one of them shortly after birth. You know who I'm talking about. There are a lot of weird phobias out there,
We're all scared of something.
a lot of which you'd struggle to believe were real. You got nomophobia, the fear of being without a phone, hippopotomo,
Hippopotomonstrosus quipedalophobia,
which is ironically the fear of long words. Arachibutriophobia, which is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Omphalophobia, which is the fear of belly buttons. Actually, that one is pretty terrifying. Compaunophobia, which is the fear of non-belly but like regular buttons. And my own personal phobia, the fear that you're being watched by a goose. But even more unbelievable than all of those is the fact that Whirl is afraid of spaghetti and rescue bots.
It's like a million tiny snakes with tomatoes.
What can is your spaghetti? What can is your spaghetti? Spaghetti.
Astonishing considering IDW World was a corpse collecting psychopath, even shoving this guy's 7 head inside his own torso. Yum. Then there's Starscream's ghost, possessing the crap out of everybody. I might illustrate this with examples, might be too lazy. Including this high school girl. I suppose it's not that unbelievable considering she's an android and considering what Kiss Players is.
It's just a snapshot of Japanese culture.
But what is unbelievable, if my memory serves that is that he was seen with toilet paper hanging out of his underwear, implying that he's been hanging around the girls' toilets.
Naughty, naughty.
And here he is again, not only fraternizing with members of the opposing faction, I mean, Starscream, so nobody's surprised about that, also with convicted
Ooh, no.
Not allowed to say that.
I need to revise my statement.
were once in a commercial with O.J. Simpson, which makes me think I should do like craziest Transformers pop culture references, because not a day goes by. Like the other day I was watching a documentary about Bin Laden. Someone mentions Transformers.
Yeah, Bin Laden. He was a Transformer.
This guy! He was called Dickbot. And what if I told you that Transformers are chick magnets? In the G.I. Joe crossover comic, Brawn married CoverGirl. Way to go, buddy. And they used various technologies to try and have a hybrid human Cybertronian child. I don't want to think about that. I'll think about it later. But he wasn't the only one that got the girls. Famously, Powerglide had a rich, bratty heiress fall in love with him in his only appearance in G1.
Next time I'm in town, would it be okay if I looked you up?
That would be wonderful.
And Skids had this girl insist on giving him a full soapy washdown. Optimus Prime loves surfing and is really quite good at basketball, apparently. Well, it's been shown over several continuities. One possible explanation for this might have been given in Marvel Comics that stated they had a sport called Base Trek back on Cybertron that was pretty similar. You might also believe, I think I got my words in the wrong order there, that he was dismembered with a lightsaber and reassembled as an alligator to live in the sewers. And apparently, Optimus has laser eyes that he used only once. And this I find mind-blowing. He actually only ever used his axe once in G1. Is that true? That can't be true. Waylek highlighted that Megatron has a toothbrush and a rubber duck. Yeah, this was a prime example of some of the wacky, irreverent humor that Beast Wars had at times. Like, once in a while, they just randomly throw in totally random stuff. Really cartoony sound effects. Not giving a fuck. They were just totally out of place.
I like you.
Maybe a better example of this was the ants. Yeah, basically, if you look very closely in the corner of the screen, there's two ants. They getting it on. We've all seen energy leech attacks before, but you would not believe me if I told you that there's a bot that shoots out their dentures on a wire to vampire an enemy's energy before retracting them and pulling the whole thing back into his mouth. I am, of course, referring to Beast Machine's asymmetrically coiffed emo bat, Night Scream. A couple of Transformers Prime ones now. It was originally intended that Ironhide was going to be in the roster, but because it was releasing so close to Transformers Dark of the Moon, they changed the character to Bulkhead. They did it because, you know, they didn't want to confuse children who watched the Transformers movies. And get this one, in the original script for that episode where Ratchet took synthetic energon, instead of him fighting Megatron, the script had him blame Optimus for the death of Elita 1, and because of that, Optimus flipped his shit out and beat the crap out of Ratchet. Obviously, they cut it. Seriously, nobody wants to see that. Thundercracker was nominated for an Oscar for Best Screenplay once. Starscream once gave up the power of the Matrix because it was making him good. And Prime Wars had Matt Pack from Game Theory and Film Theory channels, you know that guy, as a voice actor.
Combiner should cease fighting and...
Tay Zonde too. That guy made Chocolate Rain.
Made me cross the street the other day, Chocolate Rain.
Chasm G was in Age of Extinction as well. There was Fall of Cybertron Grimlock, who was so sadistic that he decapitated random Decepticons and stored their heads in a locker. This was one of those Easter eggs that you find like in one of the very first missions. You can find his sleeping quarters and there's a locker there just full of psycho mementos. There was also a pin-up of Elita 1 right here. Rat Trap also had a collection of dismembered body parts from every time Waspinator got destroyed.
You know how many pieces of Waspinator I got?
Oh, and while we're on Rat Trap, strip clubs exist on Cybertron, confirmed, as spelled out by our little motor mouth friend. You know that little gun on Triptychon's head? It's not a gun, it's a hypnosis beam. On top of everything, you can control your mind. And that I find fascinating is that some bots can get addicted to transforming and can even burn out their T-Cogs as a result. The main example being IDW Tarn, of course. Yeah, here's a few more G1 wildnesses. Apparently, Ultra Magnus appears in more episodes of G1 than Rodimus Prime does. And according to the same contributor from Reddit, there's only one confirmed kill by the Autobots in the whole of G1. And I know,
It's a kid's show, what do you expect?
what I didn't expect was it was Wheelie. Yeah, in 5 Faces of Darkness, he shoots a sweep square in the face and he falls to his death. Now, unlike a lot of deaths in G1, this was a confirmed kill because Galvatron refused to save him and told him to take his death like a man. Oh, and on Wheelie, in the Headmaster show, he bullied Predacon Tantrum, then outsmarted the skyscraper-sized Triptychon. Grimlock was once seen flying around like Godzilla while helping Santa deliver Christmas presents. I mean, it makes as much sense as a flying sleigh. The bots in Beast Wars are tiny. Probably about the size of minicons. Yeah, they made themselves more efficient when there was a shortage of energon. So that involved shrinking their chassis down. Oh, and check this one out. Someone theorized that Cyclonus might be illiterate in G1 because he once signed a bunch of forms with his thumb. And it is strange because I doubt that bots have finger or thumbprints, so there'd be no way to distinguish one thumbprint from another. This guy told a story that Soundwave was starving so bad that Rumble exploded in his chest. Great. Okay, let's leave that there for now. Make sure you're getting your bizarre facts in down below. Make sure you're checking out memberships too. I might be doing a couple of giveaways soon, and I think I'm going to keep those next couple just for the members, just as a way of saying thank you. I'm also going to start putting extended and uncensored versions of my vids up on Patreon, and most crucially, they'll be ad-free, because the ads here on YT are getting crazy. Loads more coming on the channel, for example, all the times infighting cost the Decepticons victory, all of Cup's war stories, all of the times Shockwave showed emotion, and I'm working on my most powerful incarnation series too. I'm gonna look at all the video game crossovers, and yeah, a lot to get through. So all your support is really appreciated. I'm off to play me some Earth Wars. Been able to do it lately because my PC was just so wrecked that it wouldn't load properly, but that's all sorted now, so I'm reinstalling as we speak. So I'll see some of you guys there. All right, I'm out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you very soon for the next one. Cheerio, bye.